All right, welcome back to part two. This is, once again, we're just now going through the... I've done like one pass through. It's been about half an hour since I've finished recording the first one, so I'm still in the same session. So what I've done is I've fleshed out the script. I've had a quick read through certain parts of it and changed a few little things. So I'm just going to do that now more officially. So this is still part of the first edit session or first writing session. And I can't trust what I write at the moment. So what I need to do is I'm going to talk it out and listen to it myself, make any other changes that I want to make now, and then I'm going to put it away and forget about it. So Flux is confused, looking at a screen, and has a male-female chart. Cut to video of famous YouTube transgender people. Chart is next to the screen. Cut back to Flux again. Just to explain what's going on in my head, I'm imagining sort of what I had drawn here. So by drawing this, it sort of cements sort of what's visually going on in my head. This Earthling looks like a female. Sounds like a female, I guess. Cut back to another transgender YouTuber. I don't know. Commander, I think the use by date on this gender chart has expired. It isn't working anymore. Sometimes these just aren't strong enough. Commander. It makes him too passive. It should be like, damn it, I think the... I might just put a few little things like, I don't know. Using the... Okay, this is where the flow is out. So the use by date in this gender chart has expired. Let's get rid of that out of there. Pop it in there for now. I've got to get the flow right, and this is something I've just got to keep on going back to until I get it exactly right. Oh, I don't know. The gender chart isn't working anymore. Zoom to Commander Zor. Gender chart not working. How can a gender chart not work? Are you using the 2016 version? Zoom back to chart and show 2012 as a date. Oh no, this one's a bit old now. The use by date in this gender chart has expired. Okay, that works. See how that's, by moving that down to there, that then makes the flow much better. Well, that explains it, Flux. Genders on this planet have completely changed. Gender is now a continuum of choice rather than a binary switch. Here is the new gender flipbook. Okay, so I'm going to need sound effects in there, which I won't worry too much about. I'll grab those as required. I won't actually put them into the script. Sometimes I do write them into the script, but other times I'm not going to worry. I'm going to need certainly page flipping and stuff like that, which we'll get to when we do the sounds. Close-up of flipbook. Zor explains the changes. So male and female are still there, as you would expect, but there have been a range of other additions. For example, transgender or gender dysphoria is here. These can be hard to spot, are usually nocturnal and quieter than many of the other categories on the spectrum. Now, I wonder if I don't put something else ahead of that. No, that's probably still the best way to do this, I think. I've tried to get a good, like transgender people have heard about, even though I didn't know what it meant in reality, but you have heard about it. So transsexuals are the overt, loud and colourful versions of the transgender classification. If you aren't sure when classifying a subject and they act loudly, you can just classify them here. Then Flux says, like Bearing. Now, if you don't know, Bearing is actually a social commentator. He's got like a cartoon bear as his character. Another Australian. Yeah, he's quite interesting to look at. Yeah, that should be acceptable. Not really human. Oh, hang on, this is light bearing, says Flux, and then Zor says, yeah, that should be acceptable. Not really human, though. More Homo ursus than Homo sapien. Now, by gender, that's a different one. So, flip book. So, by gender individuals, also classified as a gender fluid, are shapeshifters who morph between male and female at different times. An androgyne, I've had to write that next to it just so I remember how to pronounce it. I keep on thinking of androgynous, but I'm pretty sure it's an androgyne. An androgyne is the unfortunate result of two people of different genders caught in a matter transfer accident. Cisgender has been added so that Earthlings who are still male or female can choose this category if they want to be part of the LGBT community. Gender non-conforming are human cross-dressers. Gender questioning is usually reserved for art students, but this is a largish and vocal... okay, art students. So once again, just clean it up as I go. A largish and vocal subcategory. Actually, it's important to speak this out loud. It sort of is important. Transitioning is the process of morphing slowly from one of the traditional genders to the other, like grubs in a cocoon turning into moths. I sort of didn't want to go caterpillars and butterflies. It's more the other way around, so I sort of went with more grubs and moths rather than caterpillars and butterflies. I just thought it was a bit funnier, that's all. It's all there, Flux, in the book. Okay, so then we have back to Flux using the new gender flip book. Commander, I think this gender book is out of date as well. It doesn't have one for robots. Think laterally, Flux. Think laterally. You fall under the classification of miscellaneous. Oh, okay. So that should be miscellaneous. Is not really part of this group, I don't think. It's sort of. I thought I'd put this one in because it's. I was trying to think of something that meant nothing but was insulting. Maybe sundry. All and sundry. I'll just put that as a question mark. Flotsam and jetsam. That's pretty funnier. Flotsam and jetsam. Think laterally, Flux. Think laterally. You fall into the classification of flotsam and jetsam. Actually, because that's definitely not a gender. Maybe it is now. Maybe we've actually added it in. They seem to be accepting everything at the moment. So anyway, that's where we are now. Now what I can do is I know I'm going to come back and I'm going to be re-editing this over and over and over for the next day or so at least. I'm happy with where it is right now. I'm actually really quite happy with this, but it's really just a first draft. So I'm just going to save that, and I think it's funny, but I know that I'm also way too close to this. So it looks about the right size, so it doesn't look like I have to edit it down really too much. Now it's really a matter of just doing some of the assets. So I've got a few different assets here that I need to do. Most of these I really can't do until we have the final script, and so I'm going to need to make sure that I do get the final script nailed before I start, for example, doing lip syncing or anything like that. Now, when I'm recording it, sometimes I'll also change words. It's important that I then do go back in and re-edit these. So what I really need to do is to draw the flip book and the chart book. So I'm going to go across into here. I could rough them out here, but in reality I'm going to need to have an actual, like the base art of the different books. And I'm going to do it in Clip Studio, I think. I find it much faster to illustrate if I'm just doing an actual illustration, and I was thinking of using Illustrator simply so I could get text on the side a bit more easily than this program. This program's not that great for using text, but I think I will actually do it in this one and not put too much text on the side of it. Okay, so let's go File, New. I'm just going to use my 1080p settings, which pretty much is just the middle section is what I actually need here. So it starts with layer 1. I've actually got like different settings that I've created for using this. Like if I go across to my actions and just go to DAZ Cartoon Full Layers. I think that's what I probably would be wanting. Maybe it's this one. Maybe this one would do. The full layers gives me backgrounds and all sorts of things. Actually, I will do that. I'll grab that one. And what that's done now is just fleshed out a whole lot of different layers, including pencil sketch layers and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to need to create different copies of these as I go through, but I do need to have like a base as well. So I'm just going to sort of sketch out what this book is going to look like when it's actually all done. Also got to think, in my head I'm thinking the spiral binding, how am I going to handle that? Should I do that in 3D? No, look, I think I'll do it in here. Let's just Control Z that one. Now this little blue line is the edge. So on and so forth. I'll do this all as part of the base, so that won't actually change. Now I don't want to be seeing too many pages because I want this to sort of be fairly square on. Now, as far as the back is concerned, I'm happy-ish with that. I think that will actually work. I'll just get my basic proportions. I'll be using this as pretty much a trace. It's really just a matter of, so I'll just get a bit of a pose. But this will change, and I've got to think about this with the silhouettes. I'm probably going to have to actually not just use silhouettes, so I'm going to need to go through my list and figure out what I actually need to do. So I wonder if I don't do a symbol. I wonder if I can change the symbols as it goes across. Just trying to think of how one of these chart books would actually sort of look. Look, I won't worry about whatever sort of scale that might be. That could work pretty effectively, actually. So this would be I gotta think about whether I actually write anything in here as well. Or just use this as a bit of gibberish. Just thinking of protected species or threatened, endangered. CC 2015. I could actually do a world map. Just a very basic one. could actually have like places that aren't caught up in the in the community, in the LGBT community, could actually be really like I could just highlight that as fairly green, like half Australia, if you, then sort of like Eastern Europe, places like that, just Africa, South, actually not all, she's part of South America does do that. Anyways, this is now just sort of roughing things out. And what I'm finding is that I don't need to go back and rethink this so much. It is, and one thing I do want to do is just move this down, this rough. So this is really just a rough concept. Now the background ink, background render, background highlight, I need a background color as well. So I'm just going to add in yet another one of these. So I'm just going to call this one BG color. It's funny, when I always now stumble whether I put the U in there, simply because I do so much now for Americans, like an American audience, that I tend to write it in their style rather than my style, or the Australian style, or English/Australian style. So anyway, that's going to be the basic flip book. And so I'm thinking, do I need anything else underneath this? I probably don't. When I bring the bearing one across, I'll just bring a part of it, like a bearing image across in the editor. But just and literally, I'll just be putting these in the editor. I won't have to put these into any sort of illustration package or anything like that. I don't think, anyway. Okay, so I'm still thinking in my head, how am I going to do the flip? How am I going to get this to actually flip across? Anyway, I'll work that one out at the time. So that then gives me my base amounts. Yeah, I think we're done. So let's now just start on the actual background ink. Just going to knock this one back a little bit. And what I've been using for the comic is I've been just using one of the standard millimeter pens, and I've got 7 there. Actually, that's not the right one. I want to go to background ink over here. I'm just going to make that my active layer, my reference layer, which means that I can then do other sorts of things. So at this point in time, that's too narrow. So I'm just going to use the bracket key and just get that up to, say, 10. That looks pretty good for the background. Now I could draw it in like that, or I could actually do it 100% correct and use a curve. Actually, a curve or a continuous curve, I think, is a bit easier for me to actually use, because I can use Bezier points, and I'm very, very used to using Bezier points. Now, is that brush size 6? Enter. It's too small. It's usually a little bit bigger than what you'd expect, so I'll use 9. That looks about right. Enter. Enter. So keep that nice and straight. I'll just move this one over ever so slightly. Okay, I just copied and pasted that into there as well. We'll just put one over this side. And just rotate it to get a little bit of perspective. Oh, there's the rotate. Okay, CV. Once again, just flatten it out a little bit, just so it's not too much. Okay, and that will do for that one. Just grab all of these. CV. I want these to be fairly level because I'll be doing different things with these. This one needs to rotate around quite a bit. Alright, so just the basic pages. This is pretty boring, but this is what I got to do, you know, so I thought I'd just capture what I'm doing. Once again, I'll probably time-lapse a lot of this. Now, the angle here is going to mean I'm going to need to have the same angle running through all of these. Let's just sort this one out. So I'm just going to go and just erase those corners. It's a very good program, this one. Alright, so now what I want to do is just go and grab a couple more. I'm just going to create a different layer. So I'm just going to right click on the background layer and we're going to duplicate this layer. Okay. Just turn the reference layer off that one. And then this is going to be my narrower stuff. So I'm just going to just drop this whole layer down slightly just to get the start of the pages. I'm just going to do maybe 2 or 3 of these, and what I can do is I can then actually change the width. So what I can actually do is I can put in vector line correction, vector width correction, so line width correction. I'm going to go and go fix width, and I'm going to make this 6. Yep, so that's good. So it's just making that look like it's a secondary page. Let's go and get the eraser. We can then get rid of the line that's on the inside. There we go. And I'll probably just grab one more of those. So let's go and actually I can just do this on the same layer. So if I just go and grab this little tool here and just go and copy everything. Actually, if I go Shift A, will that grab everything? Nope. I think I'm missing pieces actually, so this is not an ideal way to do this, I don't think. It still should work. Okay, that'll do. Yeah, I've missed a few little things, but I can always just go and pop them back in or remove that. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's close enough actually. I Let's get that down to 6. Whoops. And do I even need a? I probably do need another one just on the other side. So I'm just going to go back to this layer. Copy a few of these. So we'll just grab this again. There we go, that'll do. And what I can then do is grab both of these ink layers, right click and combine selected layer. So that now all just goes into a single ink layer, which is good. It's no longer the reference layer, so I'm just going to turn that reference layer back on. So what I do need to now do is to put in the spiral binding. So yeah, spiral binding would be important because that's sort of how this chart would actually work. And I've got a lot to do here. I'm thinking I might even make this on its own layer. Spiral binding. Okay, and just thinking about what I do here, how I do this. I'll just see how we go with it. Now this one is going to need to be made into greys and black. So it's only going to be a black layer with grey, because I'm not using black in my actual colours, but the layer is making it pure black. So what I need to do here is I need to actually have like a circle. So I'm just going to go back across to here. We're going to grab ellipse and we're going to change this so that the size is, say, 8, I think. No, that's no good. Control Z. See there that as it comes down it's changing the width as well, but that's okay because I can always just go back and correct the width. I can change it, so change thickness while scaling. I could have turned that off, which I probably should do actually, but I can just go back and change it. So I'm just going to make it so the fixed width of 8. Just make it consistent. And I'm just going to draw in the other bit. I'm not going to worry about showing the little bit that appears at the back end of this. So I'm just going to go and grab a millimeter pen. And I'm just going to turn off the background layer underneath just so that it doesn't get caught up with that. If I can just delete it. Make this a little bit narrower, say 6. There we go. Turn that one back on again. Control V. So I'll just try that with this selected. Nope, that's still not going to do it. I'm going to actually pick them, unfortunately. V. Oh no. Just edit, undo, redo. V, I can just grab it from here, which is what I'll do. I wonder if it uses other keyboard shortcuts. No. Probably is a way to select all of those things and do it a bit differently than what I actually had done it. I don't want to risk it now though, so I'll just keep on going the way I'm going. It certainly would be easier though. I was sort of half thinking of doing it in 3D. It would have allowed a lot of this sort of stuff could be automated, but I think this is still going to be the better option in the end. I think it'll give me a cleaner result for the final video. I could actually just copy the whole layer, move a layer down and then just recombine the layers again. That's another way I could have done it, but I'm pretty much close now to the end. All right. Okay, so that's starting to get there. Then we need to do another layer underneath this, just a solid color layer under the spiral binding. And just going to turn off the background ink, make this one the reference layer. And we're just going to go and select all. I'm just going to expand the selection by 2 pixels, just to go sort of halfway in the middle. We're then going to invert the selection and just go down to this other layer, and I'm just going to make this like an off-white and probably a bluey grey colour. Edit, fill. Okay, so that sort of then gets that one in. So Shift D, and in this case, I'm just going to manually paint in the this little bottom section. And these in here, I'm going to create like a yellowish sort of tone for the pages, so I can just create like a bit of a grey sort of tone effect. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to lock the transparency. That way I don't have to be too careful with what I end up colouring in. One thing I don't have to be super neat with any of this stuff, because it's only going to be there for a very small portion of the time. I sort of, what I'm finding is I'm a bit too much of a perfectionist with the actual graphics to a degree. Some of it's not, but some of it I am, and I am. I guess the detail is important. Anyway, that's the spiral portion of it. That looks pretty good. I'm actually quite happy with that. So spiral binding is pretty much done, and now it's just going to be a matter of what we then do over this side. So I'll draw in a lot of this, but I'm going to put in the lines underneath here, just so that we've actually got those. Let's go across back to BG ink, because these lines won't change. So we'll go across to continuous curve. Enter. Should have started at the bottom. Well, once again, it won't really matter because I can always just fix it up. I shouldn't worry it too much. Okay, and then we'll go back to our point correction. Fixed width, I'm going to make this one fairly small, say 5. Just see what that looks like. Yep, 5 is maybe even a bit shade too much. Let's make it 4. Yep, 4 is fine. Okay, and really then it's just a matter of doing the map. So I'll draw that in next. And I'm not going to, I was going to look at reference, but I'm not going to worry about looking at reference. Just go off memory. I should get that one right. That's a bit big. I haven't gone up high enough with a lot of this stuff. Just get the main sort of islands in. I can always just stretch this up again as well, so I'll do that. Here we go. That'll do, actually. That's it's pretty rough, but it'll work. And then it's really just a matter now of just putting in the colour, the basic colour for everything. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put in, like on the background ink, I've got a render layer which I'm just not going to be needing, so I'll remove that. That just gives me a pure black that I can sort of position in things. We've got the background colour. Now this is going to be important for where we put everything, so I am just going to, I don't know if I've chewed off too much of it. If I crop off at the bottom there, no, that should still be okay. I'm a bit worried about that I'm cropping too much off the base, but I think it's okay. So background colour, what we need to do here is just marquee select everything. So, whoops, got the wrong reference layer. So that's pretty much got everything on that reference layer, which is exactly what I do want. We're now going to expand 2 pixels just to go in the inside a little bit. We're going to invert the selection, and I'm just going to fill it first of all just with an off sort of yellowy colour, like a bony sort of colour, I guess. It's got to be a bit cartoony, so I don't want it too dull. Edit fill. Well, hang on, wrong layer. Background colour. Edit fill. There we go. I do have hard light, but I probably won't use the hard light, I don't think. I use that for shadowing. Now let's go and make a greeny sort of colour. I think I might just make that go this way a little bit, make it slightly blue. That's okay, and then I'm just going to go and get a grey, like an actual more olivey sort of grey, just for the land masses. Actually, it's probably a little bit too dark. If I do that, yeah, it's going to do the whole lot. Okay, so I have to just manually punch in some of these. Actually, one thing I can do is possibly just use this. Expand. Edit fill. There we go. Alright, so what I can then do is when I do the detail on the actual book itself, I can I can just add in whatever else I feel like. Now, for the book, actually one thing I do want to do is I'm just going to lock that transparency yet again, and I'm just going to use this to make the page color just ever so slightly darker down through these areas. There'd be an easier way of doing that. There we go. So we've got one flip book. This is the base of the flip book, and I think that looks pretty good. I'm actually really quite happy with that. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to move the layer up above the spiral binding, just so I can sort of see what my roughs were, and then I'm going to create a group background. And I've got to think about what I do on the base of this as well. What I might do is I've got sort of like a pattern that I've been using a little bit for a lot of things, to be honest. It's just a really rough pattern, but I quite just like the effect of it, so I'm just going to move all of that in there. I'm not using the hard light at all. I might just get rid of that one just so it's nice and clean. So that's my book. And just going to go back in and just put another color underneath. Background. Pop that underneath there. And then this is just going to be a complete fill. Now I've got this soft round one, which I've, depending on what my colors are in here, if I grab greys and blue greys, particle size, let's make it even bigger. So I want that to sort of just be something underneath it that's a bit mechanical, and that will do. And in this case I will actually add a hard light layer. Oh, that's my dog coughing. Hard light. And we'll make that to go across to hard light as well. And I'm just going to draw this in. Can't change it, actually that's no good, so I'll get rid of that. Just do a polyline. Oh, I screwed that up. I want to make it a bit darker. Bit bluer. There we go. I can make it maybe not quite as blue. It's got it. So it just creates a shadow underneath the actual book itself. One thing I might do is grab everything. So I've got everything on that bottom layer. I'll grab this one as well. I'm just going to move everything across. Oh, hang on, I don't want to move that background layer. Okay, and that will do for those. Layer can just come across a bit as well. Right, and now I've got to do a panel for each of the different things that we're going to be showing. So we're going to have male and female and a whole lot of other different things. So this is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take probably the better part of, well, a few hours anyway, of doing this. So what I think I might do is I'll do one and record it, and then we'll come back in and I'll show you what I ended up with all of the others. So what I need to do here is I've got the render layer, which am I going to need that? I might leave the render layer there. I may use it. To think about what I do there. In fact, what I might just do is I might go and grab another folder. Male, female is my first one, so I'll do that to start with. Highlight, ink, render, highlight, color. Pencil I no longer need. I'll get rid of that. Layer is my roughs. I'm going to need actually I probably should have left the pencil layer in there. I think I'll leave that in there as well. And just drop that into the base. And I'll use the pencil layer to actually draft out exactly what I'm going to be writing in through here. I also need a text layer up the top, and then the rest of it I'm just going to do by hand. So just go up to the very, very top of everything and add in text. Male and female. The font is going to be Anime Ace. Size will just increase. Oh, hang on. Anime Ace. Male and female. Text direction, anti-aliasing on, that's fine. Color is black, that's okay. Oh, that's right, you can't rotate this. That was the problem with this, it's a pain in the ass. Oh, okay. I don't think I can rotate it. That's the redo. Let's rotate the whole thing, which is not what I want. How do I rotate just the text? I might have to look that up. I don't think I can do it from memory. It's a, which is weird. Weird that you can't. You've got to, I think, rasterize the layer and then do it. It's something weird like that. I'm just going to pause this and have a bit of a look. No, there's no way to do it. I didn't think there was. It's I don't know why. It's something that simple. What I'm going to do here is I've got to duplicate this layer. I've got to turn that layer off just so I've got a copy of it. I've got to then make this one big. And then I've got to rasterize this layer. Then I need to go to my where is it? Let's layer move. Control T, yeah, Control T. And now I can rotate this. I'll make it big just so that it doesn't go too crazy when it's scaled down. You know, I scale it down to the size that I want. There we go. So that's pretty much the only way of really doing it. Just drop that one down a little bit. And yeah, then we've got the... I wonder if I don't make another text just for the text. Then I can keep the graphic on the other. I think I might do that. So I might create yet another layer over here. Text, and what I probably will do here is actually not make it black. I'm going to still make it grey, black, but I'm going to change the colour of this to actually that's not too bad. Actually, that colour that was actually in there is just a very dark grey, and that just means that when I write in this now, so if I go back to my millimeter pen, it's size. Let's get it up to size 10 again. It's going to be too much. Just type it in. There we go. So just sort of a bit of a cartoony sort of effect on that side of the page. That way all my text is sort of contained. I'm going to create another folder inside this folder. I'm just going to call it text. That way at least I can just isolate it and not have to worry about it. So we'll bring that one across to there. That way I can just have literally everything that's on that particular page. Now, I don't know if I'll worry about actually putting stuff on there. I think I'll just keep it like that. It doesn't really matter showing what's where. This is where I end up putting way too much detail in. Let's go down to pencils, go across the actual pencil itself, and yeah, getting the style of these right is going to be quite important. So and it's going to be important because the joke is going to be whatever style is actually drawn for these characters. So do I make a 1950 sort of style? As in whatever they're wearing. Thinking I'll have to, I'm just thinking now that it's probably going to be better that I use an outline around this to, so with the highlight, I'm going to use the highlight to do highlight around the actual thing itself. In this case, I'm going to still make it black. There we go. So it's going to be grey black, but I will actually probably then change the colour up in here again as well. So let's just go and grab like a, I guess a mid-grey to start with, and we'll just pop that one in there. Millimeter pen on 8, will that be enough? Yep. So I might change this. I don't want to get too much detail into this. There we go. And just to test this out, I'm just going to go across to my color layer. I'm going to grab the highlight layer, make that the reference layer, go back to color. Let's go shift click in there. Expand a couple. That's pretty much got it. Invert. And what do I want to do here? I want this one. Yep, that's just so I get the silhouette. I just wanted to get it so that I ended up with, actually I'm just going to change a few of these things now, so Shift D, go back to highlight. Yep, and that gives me enough detail to be funny in the in whatever I'm drawing. So yeah, so I'm happy with that. Let's just turn off the rough layer just so I can see what's going on. think I'm just going to increase the depth of this layer. Just make it a little bit darker. Like that. Okay, so that's the silhouette. That's like as a reference, that's not too bad. So I can then also make use of this when I show the other card. So I'm just going to continue on. In fact, I'll keep on going on with this one. I'll now do the male counterpart as well. So I'm just going to now go up to ink, and ink I haven't used yet, but I'm just going to draw in. Where's my roughs? Actually, I didn't use that one. I'll just use this one. So that's 8. Let's make this one 10 or 11. That's fine. It's funny. It would be funny creating one of these books. You imagine how well that'd go around the place. Oh, geez. Get myself in trouble. Let's go to the pencil layer. So now with the male, just continue on. Yeah, I'll have him looking down at her, because that's sort of not politically correct to do anymore. We're sort of doing the old style. There we go. Actually, I think that'll look pretty cool. Back up to highlight. Pretty sure 8 was the size, or was it 10? 9? I'll do it 9. I'm putting clothes on them, and I wasn't going to when I started drawing this, but I'm putting clothes on them now because I'm going to have to do it with the other ones anyway to get some of the jokes in. So I want enough detail to be able to define differences without having too much detail, if that makes sort of sense. Like, you know, like if I need to put in a string of pearls or something like that, or put eyelashes on, I can do it with this style without actually going overboard. right, let's do a reference layer up there, go back down to color. Add those in, expand to, invert, grab that, make that one black. All right, so that would be the book or the page for the male and female. So that would be the first one. And now what I'm going to be doing is having to go through and design up each one of them just using the same format, essentially. So that and the joke will be as we go through each one of these. So it's quite involved, as you can see. Like that was a year, not a year, an hour and a bit just to do this portion of it. Gee, if it was a year, that would be not good. I don't know what I was looking at there, thinking of a year, but anyway. So with that, I'm going to leave this episode. I'll come back once I've actually got all of these drawn. I can just draw these as I feel like over the coming days, really, because I'm going to have a bit of time just thinking about different things anyway. But yeah, so that's I like the feel of this. I like the look of it. I like where I'm looking. If it was on the screen, I'd be looking across to these, male and female. And I'm only going to have it like there for a split second, but it's enough to get what's going on, and I like that. Thanks for watching.